Hello, my name is Conrad Ray, and I am in Group 5, and I'm going to be talking to y'all about first impressions. They say you only get one chance to make a good first impression, but that is 100% accurate because the first chance you get to meet someone, that's how they're going to judge you in the long run. So they say you have seven seconds to make a great first impression, which is not much time at all. So it is your job to assess who you are, your personal brand, to be as authentic as possible for the people around you. Because every time someone looks at you, they judge you. They base their perceptions on you. And we're going to start off with talking about appearance. So if your pants are hanging on the ground, I'm going to base my perceptions off you. I'm going to start judging you. And that's the impression I'm going to have on you. And I promise you it's not a good first impression if your pants are sagging on the ground. You don't have to say a word to me. I'm just going to kind of gauge who you are as a person. On the other hand, appearance. Whether you are applying for a job on Wall Street, going to an interview there, or you're going to Montana in a coal mine, you have to realize who you are and what you're applying for. So, let's get down to it. If you're going to Wall Street, you need to be wearing your best suit, your best tie, because you have to fit the part. If you go in there in sweatpants, it's not going to work. If you're going to a coal mine, half the battle is to have a big burly beard and look tough. That's who they're hiring. That's what it looks like in my uneducated opinion. But you just have to realize what you're getting into. And when people look at the way you dress, they're going to base their opinions upon you that way. So I would say if you are a woman going into an interview, dress more conservative than revealing, just because you don't know how they'll react to it. As a male, you can't go wrong with business professional. If you wear a suit and tie, you'll be fine. But when you're going anywhere, you have to realize you have a personal brand and people are looking upon you and they're making judgment upon you. So just be aware of what you're wearing and make sure it best represents you the way you want to be seen. Which brings me to my next point, posture. I have an issue with this. My biggest problem is I'm 6'6", 220 pounds, and I look intimidating. And I'm the guy that stands out. I want to be the tallest person in the room. But there's some people, my best friend, Cole Younger. His shoulders are always down. He just looks intimidated. Every time, if he just looks scared to be anywhere. He could be in his house talking to his parents, but he's just all humped. He's an introvert. He's just an introvert. And the best thing he could do is roll his shoulders back and look up and gaze forward. Now, I have an issue. It's a personal issue. I'm sure some of y'all have the same issue. It's called a resting face. I paused because it's a curse word and we're at school. But I've been told before by many people I'm intimidating and I just look mean all the time. Even though I'm completely happy, I don't get it. I hate it. You know, I'm tall and I got this beard. Half the reason I got the beard is because I got a bad jawline. But that's not even the best thing I can do personally to fix the issue with my resting face is I chew gum. If I'm in public, I chew gum because it makes me look, it's scientifically proven, it makes you look more approachable and easy to talk to. And I totally agree with that. Now, I would not chew gum in an interview with, a CEO or, a human resource person. But if I'm trying to meet new people, I'm going to make sure I'm chewing gum. I look relaxed. My shoulders are back. I look easy to talk to. I look approachable. My next point, eye contact. My buddy Cole I just talked about. He won't look at a human being in the eyes if it was for his life. He's a complete beta. He will not look at you in the eyes. It's not hard to do. It's like he has I see it all the time when meeting new people. I don't have a problem with looking people in the eyes, but when you're looking at someone in the eyes in a conversation, it shows that you're interested in what they have to say. But when you're looking off, it looks like you're scared, you're uninterested, and that will rub off on the person you're talking to, and it doesn't look good. The next point I have to bring up is a firm handshake. You can't get good at having a firm handshake unless you shake hands. You have to practice. It's kind of weird to just shake hands over and over again, but get used to giving someone a firm handshake. The worst thing you can do is to give someone a wet fish handshake. They'll remember your wet fish. Wet fish is another word for a weak handshake. So, back to it. There are a couple subtitles in giving a solid handshake and meeting someone. It says, give a firm handshake, but there's other things that go along with it. You want to look them in the eyes. We just talked about it. Make eye contact with them. Not an issue for me, personally. But an issue for me is smiling. They always say to smile. When I say they, professors and people in the business world say to smile when you're shaking someone's hands. I look pretty weird when I smile. Hey, my name's Conrad. It's weird. So I kind of do like a little soft smile. I just change my facial expression in a positive way. It's not difficult to do, but don't just go. But it's hard to explain over camera. But back to the point. Just when you give someone a solid handshake, look them at the eyes, and change your facial expression in a positive way. Next point, pitch and volume. I just met with one of my buddies. He went to Cal Berkeley. He claims he's such a great people person and good sales, but he cannot be any worse. He is a screamer. He will yell if you are 1 foot away from him. He has no awareness of his tone or pitch. It's like he has a megaphone, just like the picture shows, in my ear. And it's the most annoying thing possible. He's at about an 8 volume and he needs to be at about a 3. And he just has no feel. And that rubs off on me. And it rubs off on every person he meets. He's in insurance business, and I promise people that he meets with on a day-to-day basis probably are saying the exact same thing I am. Pitch and volume. You don't want to be too loud, but you also don't want to be too soft. There's also a lot of quiet talkers. You probably can't hear what I'm saying, but my name's Conrad Ray, and it's nice to meet you. That is absolutely terrible. Put a little bass in your voice and show them that you're not scared. Hey, my name is Conrad Ray. You're not yelling, but you're sounding assertive. You are sounding firm. You seem like you're proud of being who you are. So find the middle between screaming like Ryan Barden and the quiet mouse. Kind of finding them. There's also monotone people. Does this seem interesting to talk to? Hey, my name's Conrad. It's nice to meet you. I really don't want to have a conversation with you right now. Blah, 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 blah. It's terrible. You need to change your tones, your pitches, so it seems like you're enthused. Just don't be monotone. Just change it. It's just how they view. Some people are monotone people, but you have to be aware what your problems are and how they portray on other people. The best thing to do, find your happy medium and just don't seem bored talking to them. Seem enthusiastic. Which brings me to my next point. Be prepared. You have to know who you're talking to. If you're talking to Ricky, who's Jimmy's cousin at the pool hall, who just works on small engines, part-time, you're gonna talk to him a lot differently when you meet him, differently when you talk to Fred Smith, the owner creator of FedEx. So you have to be prepared on who you're talking to, and you have to realize that. So we talked about elevator pitch. Someone else is probably doing a topic on this, but an elevator pitch, you got 30 seconds to tell you who you are, what you do, and what you want to do, and what your goals are. So I'm not going to tell Ricky, Jimmy's cousin, all that much about me because we're shooting pool. But I have to be prepared for, whenever I talk to Fred Smith in an elevator or sitting by him on a plane. I need to know. I have to be able to analyze who I'm talking to and what I need to say to them. Compare, everyone's different, and it's a judgment thing. You have to feel them out. And whenever you have multiple elevator pitches in your back pocket, and you can just, you want this one, you'll be in the money. But the biggest problem is most people don't even have one. The best way to practice your elevator pitch is to say it in the mirror. And get over it, good, get good, get good. It's kind of weird talking to yourself in the mirror, but if you want to get good at something, you need to repeat it over and over and over again. So just be aware of who you are talking to. Next point. Put your phone away. When you're talking to someone, put your phone away. I met this dude on Beale Street the other night in Memphis. He was all up and giddy telling me about how he's got a big banking job or something. And I listened to him and I showed him respect and I looked him in the eyes, shook his hand, did all the steps perfectly, right? And I was about to get ready talking to him about, what I do. But as soon as I started talking, about 20 seconds in, he looked at his phone and he was swiping up on Instagram to reload his feed. He wasn't looking at direct messages. He was looking at his news feed. That is the most disrespect I've had in a long time. When someone is looking at something that's going to be there forever and just totally disregards everything I say. If he's texting his girlfriend, go ahead, text her. I just met you. I don't care. But when you start looking at your Instagram, just throw the conversation away. I'm done. I'll remember that forever. It's going to be hard to recover from that conversation when you just started. I just built my perceptions upon Ali based on him looking at his phone. Quick story. My girlfriend's from Texas. He's a Texan. He's a conservative. He loves Texas. I don't know. He's the most Texan person I've ever met in my life. But I meet him for the first time about 2 years ago. And he tells me, let's scratch that. When I meet him, he takes me up to his game room. I'm sitting with my girlfriend and him, and he just hammers me with questions for like 2 hours. And I'm on the ball. I'm respectful. I'm looking at him in the eyes, and I bang, bang, bang. I answer him. I was prepared. I was ready to rock. Anything he came at me with, I was ready to go. But, again, 6 months later, scratch again. But 6 months later, he invites me to go on their family vacation, which was kind of out of the ordinary because I've only spoken with him a couple times and I'm dating his daughter. But he invites me on the family vacation, and he doesn't do that. And we're sitting on the beach about the third or fourth day, and we're drinking adult beverages. And he tells me, you know what? The most important thing, the reason why I like you, like, do you know why I like you? And I'm like, no, not really. He says, during the first time I met you, we talked upstairs for 2 hours, and you did not look at your phone one time. It showed that you were interested and you respected me. And that doesn't come along much these days. And I was just kind of blown away, and I was like, wow. I was just having a conversation, and I didn't really think much of it. But he took it to heart, and heck, if I wanted to get an RV right now and him to co-sign for it, even though I'll never do it, he'd do it in a heartbeat just because I had a great first impression and he loves me. But he'd go to the end of the world to help me out. But I think the start of that was because I had such a good first impression. So to my conclusion, before I run out of time, you want to dress the part, appearance. You want to look good. You want to know where you're going. Posture, shoulders back, looking around. You want to be approachable, eye contact. When you meet someone new, look at them in the eyes. It'll show that you're interested in what they have to say. Firm handshake. Don't give them a wet fish. Show them that you care and that you're ready. Along with a handshake, you got eye contact and the change of facial expression in a positive way. Pitch and volume. Don't scream. Don't be too quiet. Find the middle, up and down. Find the middle. Then put your phone away. Don't look at your phone whenever you're talking to someone new. And you should be good. You're ready to make a great first impression.
as Conrad mentioned in the earlier video, it is crucial for individuals to really hone in on making good first impressions, as we're only given 5 to 7 seconds to make these first impressions. So this article, man, as Conrad mentioned in the earlier video, it's important to create first impressions. I was able to find an article written by Glenn Lopez, and the title was "The Best Leaders Make Unforgettable First Impressions." Glenn Lopez has served on several corporate level positions in various corporations around the world, and he wrote an article just talking about tips from his previous journeys and tips that he used to be able to create first impressions with employees that may have been working alongside him or below him. And his article really talked about we're working with people, so it's really important just to be able to work with the people in a way that motivates yourself and others in a really good manner. And so the first tip he gives is a warm greeting. When you come into a new business, it's really important, I think, to be open to your employees instead of just scheduling time for everyone to meet you in one big conference. I think it's very important to go to each individual's desk one by one and just introduce yourself, get to know them, have a little small talk. Yes, this will take some time, but in the long run, as far as trying to really implement, a good employee culture, I think it's really important to have a warm greeting, be open to your employees, getting to know them. That's going to be really important in the long run. Another one is to be polished. This is more about kind of how a leader carries themselves, but most leaders want a leader that is empowered, that is powerful, and so it's important to really hone in on how you carry yourself. That might be wearing a suit and tie to work. It just depends on the business, but it's really important to really focus in on the manner you're carrying yourself. Another one is a leader needs to be friendly or engaging. People want to work with leaders who are friendly to work with, who care what they're working on. So as a leader, it's important to be friendly to your employees, be engaging, listen to what they're working on, and just try to see if there's anything you can do to help others. Another represents their authentic self. So you can only be as good as a leader as you want to be. So, we can't all be Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. So it's important to really understand what your strengths are and utilize those to be your best self. Be yourself. Don't try to be some other leader or try to lead just by what a textbook says. Do what works for you. Another thing is leaders are good listeners. People want to be able to talk to their bosses, but they also want them to listen and voice their concerns. In the big picture, leaders may tell their employees, "Hey, I'd like us to improve our process," but it's the employees that are really gonna, initiate this project. So it's really important for the leader to at least listen to their employees, listen to the concerns. That way they can help, figure out a resolution to some problems. And a good leader is interested in what matters to their employees. They want to know what their hobbies are. What are they doing outside of work? It's important just to build this relationship with their employees to just understand what do they like to do? What do they do for fun? And also, what are maybe some other job opportunities the employee would be interested in further down the road? These are all important aspects to know. Another is a leader embraces differences and acknowledges accomplishments. So since we work with people, everybody's going to have a different mindset. So it's important for leaders to be able to acknowledge every difference and kind of, pick and choose, different opinions and decide, which one's the right decision, which one's the wrong, and embrace it. Another is acknowledge accomplishments. It's really important as individuals hit their goal or exceed their goal to celebrate. At my work, as our sales numbers increase and each individual hits a certain goal for the month, the quarter, year, whatever the time limit is, we have these big confetti cannons that we pull out at work, and it's just everybody gets excited. It's just a fun time because the leader of our company, he is acknowledging our accomplishments. He's saying good job, and it's one thing to just say good job, but when you do something like that, it's really awesome. So it's really important for leaders to acknowledge accomplishments because it makes employees feel good about themselves. And another is a leader needs to be knowledgeable. So it's really important for leaders to at least have an idea of how the products work, what the industry is like, who's our competitors, what's our competitive advantage. It's really important for leaders to be knowledgeable in the matter. They don't have to know everything, just kind of like the old saying, jack of all trades, master of none. But, a leader at least needs to be knowledgeable and, what matters to the company. And others, leaders need to be accessible. Kind of like, college RDs, you know, they're had the open door policy. It's good for leaders to be accessible to their employees, for the employees to know they can go to their leader and voice their concerns, and that the leader's open for any suggestions. I think that's key for creating these first impressions with your employees. Now there's a sense of humor. You know, some some leaders only care about work, and you can see that in their manner and how they carry themselves. But I think it's important for leaders to have a sense of humor. Sometimes life is very ironic, so it's good just to laugh at yourself, because we're going to make mistakes. So sometimes, you just got to laugh at yourself. Sometimes it just makes life go a little bit better. And, another section of that is vulnerability. It's really important for leaders to be able to accept their mistakes instead of trying to point fingers or make excuses of, why a decision, ended up being the wrong decision, but instead just accept fault and explain how we're going to fix it. I think that's key for, in creating this first impression, is just for employees to see their leader as, wow, he or she is, they're accountable. They're making up for their mistakes. They're, moving on. I think that's really important for, creating these first impressions. And another is consistency. It's really important to be consistent in what you do on a daily basis. It's important to have a routine, and I think it's crucial for these impressions. Be consistent with all your employees. Depending on how big a company you run, if you're working with 50 people, it might be pretty easy to be consistent. But sometimes, you might not see the same people once or twice a week. So it's important to be consistent with those employees, since you might not always have a lot of touch time with them. And another is lead by example. It's one thing for a leader to say, hey, do this activity, but it's another for a leader to say, let me show you how to do this activity. This is how I've done it in the past. And, it's important because, people respect their leaders if they see them actually doing the work too. It always makes me respect my president of the company when, instead of him just telling me, hey, do this, do that, and he actually shows me how he's done in the past, that helps me respect him more. And it'll help other employees respect their leaders more too. And the last little tip is motivational. It's important for leaders to be able to motivate their employees. Leaders, they're supposed to motivate their employees to, hopefully get them to perform at a higher level. Leaders will push a lot, and it's really important to keep pushing your employees to, become the better themselves, and to increase their performance. But these are just some 14 tips for first impressions for leaders to make when they first start with a company.
First impressions are very important. As a leader in your company, you want to make sure that a great first impression with your new employees. Here's some reasons why. Set the benchmark for their work environment. A new employee is going to be nervous. Don't throw them straight into the pit. Give them a taste of what the regular day is like. Introduce them to others. Make them feel welcome. Answer any questions they have. And more than likely, that new employee will feel comfortable to come and ask questions if they have uncertainty. It helps to determine if the new hire is a good fit. It's costly for a company to have turnover, and you want to make sure that the new hire is going to fit in with the company morale, the team, and see how things are going to work out. Are they in it for the long haul? Another important role that a good first impression makes with a new hire or employees as a general, you want to be able to create and show your atmosphere, the culture, what your company is about. You want them to know what they're a part of. Understanding and being part of the employee experience helps your employee to feel like that you as a leader is someone that you can come to. No matter whether there's a unilateral difference, they want to have someone that they can depend on, that they can reach out to. And being a good leader is leaving that first impression with your new hire. Some things that you can start in order to feel the culture. How do they dress? Should they be wearing a blazer? Sports coat? Tie? Business casual? Is jeans allowed on Friday? Things of that nature. Set the guidelines. Let them know where they need to be. The unsurety is what creates sometimes the mistakes. And as a new employee, they sure want to make sure that they're doing everything correct and doing a good job. Key points for a leader to remember: first impressions. Some other things that happens that with a new employee, sometimes they're in a shell. They're scared to speak out. They're scared to ask questions. You never know what's under that shell. Opening the line of communication and letting them know that they're welcome to speak to you. We'd love to see somebody's thought process that's not been under this roof for so many years. What's an idea you have? Creating that atmosphere, creating that openness, creating the open door policy, so to speak, and letting them know as a leader, you're here, you can speak with them. You never know what glorious ideas are going to come from that, and that's going to help your company, your team, things of that nature. You want to be honest with them. You want to know where you're going. So, truth with them, setting the goals. If they make mistakes, talk to them, open up to them. I think that right there is your lasting impression that you've made because of the key first impression.